Is this what opposition is about? Because, like Bayo Onanuga is saying, this man seems not to see anything good about this government, and he thinks it's just toxic, dirty politicking from Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. I don't know whether it's to say the Labour Party or Mr. Peter Obi, but that's going to be the first issue for consideration on the roundtable this week. I remember that yesterday on one of our shows, one of the callers called in to question why Mr. Peter Obi keeps making statements on issues away from the Southeast. That look, all of the negative report that's come from the Southeast, it feels that Mr. Peter Obi deliberately ignores those issues and never makes any tangible statements about them, but it's always quick.
Why is the caller not talking about the problem in the Southeast?
We'll get there. You know, I just had to bring that up because there was a lot that came from that particular conversation. But that's going to be the first issue on the roundtable. Maximum 15 minutes on that. And then local government autonomy by 괊ᴏ the issues are not going away. And Edo State is already showing us what would come from all of these so-called local government autonomy ruling from the Supreme Court. Edo crisis deepens as 2 local government chairmen remain sacked as we speak. 2 others have now defected to the APC. Mr. Curtis saying things are happening. It started with suspension of the local government chairmen, 18 of them and their deputy chairman. Now we are seeing a situation where councillors are now sacking and impeaching their local government chairmen. We are also getting reports that some of the local government chairmen are now defecting to ruling the APC. They were elected on the platform of the PDP. We are already seeing defection. So, so what are the political issues? What are the underlying factors? What are the intrigues? What's happening? And what does this say about a local government autonomy conversation? The Supreme Court ruling, has it come to stay? Is it a joke? Can it really be affirmed? Can it really stand with the way our politicians are behaving? Edo State as a case study. So that's going to be the second issue on the roundtable this evening. And then Rivers political crisis. It's not going to go away. I was hoping that in the new year there will be some form of political decorum in Rivers State. But I think the New Year and Christmas was an opportunity for the political gladiators in Rivers State to organize parties to say all manner of things, from the churches, from the platform of the churches to different banquets, from parties. When politicians gather in Rivers State, they seem to have a whole lot to say. From Wike to Odili, from Odili to Fubara, from Fubara to Magnus Abe, the political gladiators are not backing down in Rivers State. Now, the latest we have from that oil-rich state of the Niger Delta is that Odili encouraging Fubara to disobey Tinubu after I single-handedly made him governor. And we're saying that that's the minister of the FCT, Wike, saying that, look,
proxy war. Mr.
Peter Odili is encouraging Fubara to disobey Tinubu after he single-handedly made him governor. And so the simple question we're going to be asking ourselves on the roundtable this evening is this: will the crisis ever end? Will this crisis in Rivers State ever end? And if it will end, when will it end? If it's not going to end, where are we going with this crisis in Rivers State? It's been a bit of a complete mess, really. So that's the third conversation on the roundtable. And then this very interesting conversation by Mr. 괊ᴏ, all sector reforms. And Yar'Adua cancelled refinery sale over conflict of interest traceable to you. And that's Mr. Femi Falana SAN telling former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo that, look, yes, you keep talking about this cancelled contract, this cancelled sale of the refineries, but the reason why Yar'Adua did it was that, look, there were breaches of due process, and there was traceable cases of conflict of interest, and that was why the late Yar'Adua, the late president who you installed, cancelled those contracts. So how true is that statement? What can we make of this statement from Mr. Femi Falana to the former president, who also granted an interview recently? And we also see situations where the NNPCL has also invited him to visit those refineries. So how true is that statement? And why are this statement coming up at this time? Mr. 괊ᴏ will go straight to business so that we can quickly get into this conversation. Now, the first one, Bayo Onanuga, the special advisor for information and strategy to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has labeled Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi, Nigeria's leading prophet of doom. And reacting to Obi's New Year's comment on his X account, Onanuga slammed the former Anambra governor for predicting doom for Nigeria as against hoping for a more glorious 2025. Onanuga accused Obi of name-calling and a campaign of calumny against Tinubu's government, adding his New Year's message where he claimed Nigeria's political, economic, and security situation is worsening daily. That was indeed a misleading statement from Mr. Peter Obi. And this is quoting Bayo Onanuga now. And he's saying that, look, while Nigerians celebrated the new year with hope for a more glorious 2025, Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State and presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, was seemingly stuck in a replay of his jangling, gloom-reading wish list of our country. That's according to Mr. Bayo Onanuga. And then on Thursday, we recollect that Mr. Peter Obi had claimed that the government had not done enough to address the country's worsening economic and political crisis. And we also remember that he also advised the president to patronize some of our national hospitals to have a first-hand understanding and information on the health sector in Nigeria. To Mr. Bayo Onanuga, Peter Obi is a prophet of doom. What do you make of that statement from the presidency?
You know, Mr. Onanuga objectified the saying that the end of a thing is better than the beginning. Why do I say so? This is a guy that if you speak to anyone who has known him in his formative years,
yes,
as a journalist, either in the African Concord or in the Guardian or wherever, and then later the news
magazine, yeah.
I mean, just a few days ago, I was going through this book written by former Senator Babafemi Ojudu, where look, he dedicated almost a whole chapter to Mr. Onanuga.
To Bayo Onanuga.
Yes. Praise his brilliance, his dedication to work, his tenacity. You know, this was basically a patriot, someone who wanted a better country. I mean, Ojudu told a story of how him and Bayo and some others wrote a story in the African Concord that infuriated IBB, who was then the president. And they were called by the publisher, Chief MKO Abiola, and asked to withdraw or to tender an apology to IBB. And all of them resigned. They took a principled stand. Now, what we have seen now in the last few years is the complete unraveling of this gentleman. In the last election in Lagos State, you saw the kind of statements
he made.
He made, talking about those who are not from Yoruba land should never aspire to hold any political position. And we are talking about the country that as far back as the 60s, we had Igbo people winning election in this part of the world. In fact, in the civil war, a Yoruba man fought on the side of Biafra. Lieutenant Colonel Banjo,
yes,
whose brother also had attempted to carry out an armed struggle some years back. So, I mean, this kind of statement coming from Mr. Bayo Onanuga is not surprising to me at all. But what is troubling about this is that, given his high position in this government as a spokesperson for the president, that he appears not to know the place of opposition in the democratic setup. Because you see, the responsibility
of the opposition
is not to praise the party in power. Their key responsibility is not to praise, because you see, you are positioning yourself as an alternative to the party in power. And you cannot position yourself as an alternative if you toe the alliance all the time. So what I expected Mr. Onanuga to do,
yes,
is to challenge and confront Obi's position with facts. To say, on the basis of this facts, not on the basis of sentiment
or a prophet of
or empty hope.
Okay.
You know, because look, there is a place of hope and there is a place of reality. Now, Obi is speaking from the place of reality. Obi sees the difficulties, the difficult economic climate.
As an opposition political figure, is going to ventilate
the pains that Nigerians are going through, and Obi is trying to tap into this pain. You know,
as an opposition leader,
as an opposition, to become more credible. So calling him a prophet of doom does not explain the situation. Now, what he has got to do is to counter Obi by saying, okay, look, we met a worsening economic situation. We've been able to stop the bleeding. And these are things we have accomplished within this period. Now, the reason why these arguments are difficult to make is that the data does not support his position. And so instead of dealing with the issue, instead of challenging Mr. Obi with the facts, he goes on an insult trip, you know, and name calling. And when people resort to name calling, it's because this was what we made. This is what we have accomplished. This is what we will accomplish in the next 3 months. This is where we are going. All right. The pains you are witnessing is a short pain. Now, and when you talk, their supporters will tell you, the price of fuel is down. Only in NNPC and MRS. And that's where you see the competition between NNPC and Dangote Refinery.
Dangote had that deal with MRS.
With MRS. His younger brother. Say you don't is the owner of MRS.
MRS, yes.
And that's a competition going on right there. Now, beyond that, and I've asked a friend of mine who made it the chief argument for me. How many Nigerians can even afford petrol at 925 naira? How many? In a country where minimum wage is 70, we say 100,000. You are a married man, you have 2 kids, you have to pay your rent, you have to buy food for the children, you have to send them to school. How does that work? And where is the intervention?
Maybe you should do marry.
So if Obi is speaking to these realities, and all you have got to say is that why Nigerians are hoping for the best is the prophet of doom, it's not going to resonate.
Again, for those who think, opposition should not be about just seeing the negatives, there should always be a time. Again, looking at what Mr. Bayonunu is saying and what some of the supporters of the government are saying, that look, yes, opposition is not to praise the government in power, but to ensure that, look, you balance your opposition and conversation.
The opposition cannot create an environment where the opposition leader will speak to. The opposition has got to deal with what exists and his perception of what exists.
But what comes to mind by Sakot is I can't forget Alhaji Lai Mohammed when he was in the opposition, and I can't remember any time that he praised the ruling power. Is it that people like Mr. Bayonunu?
No, these guys suffer from collective amnesia.
They forget so easily. Yes,
because you see, even when the government was doing well in these days in areas, and I can gladly match the record of this government with that of Jonathan.
Yes,
but Lai Mohammed took them
to the cleaners almost every day.
Almost every day,
every hour, every day,
hammering on their feelings and all that, and so now look, I think something has changed. There's a kind of shift in the mentality, and you see that constant and consistent attempt to get all of us to shift. In other words, don't just who differs. He was someone who constantly disagreed with the government in power at the time.
Who protested,
organized protests, paid for protests, encouraged protests, and now he cannot stand a different opinion.
Bala Mohammed's opinion has been tagged by the presidency too as being inciting.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So
what has changed?
As far as this government is concerned, the membrane between what is support and what is not support for the government is so tiny. And you can easily cross it. All you need to do is to say, Mr. President is not doing well. Then you're either an enemy or you cannot say anything good in Nigeria.
Or you're an enemy of Nigeria. Okay.
So let me give you a practical example. If a man was able to send his son or daughter to school abroad, and then the counter argument would be, must they go to school abroad? They made that choice. And they live in a society where individuals have liberty to make a choice. So they send their kids based on the projection that, okay, at $730, we'll be able to get this person through school in 4 years. Then you come and say, look, there's a need to float this money I think that the only way we can attract for direct foreign investment more is that we have to weaken our currency. Okay, just like China and others have done, and they have attracted businesses. But the problem is that when you weaken your currency, what are you exporting that is attractive? Petroleum, right?
Yes.
You don't control the price of petrol. The price of oil in the international market is controlled by the forces of supply and demand in the international market. So, okay, or is it gold or mineral resources?
So what exactly
are you exporting
to earn forex?
Yes, to earn forex that will be attractive to foreign investors. You know that they'll find your currency valuable, attractive to come. You have not been able to explain that to people. Okay, the people were buying bread for less than 1,000 naira before you became president. Today, that bread is 2,100 minimum. And you are saying that
this is just prophet of doom.
Okay, so what you and what you are saying is to believe you and to trust you that you are working very hard for them. Of course, they believe you, they trust you, but they cannot deny their own reality. And
different story.
Of course, who does? Just because they have to obey up. And the best way to shut him up, where?
Well, the president has been moving around. He was in Lagos. I think he was in Enugu. He's been going around, really. I think he was also in Anambra State. And it's still the same message by Sᴏᴜ. You guys have elected me. Let's do the job. We are turning the curve. We're getting better. The reality is going to change very, very soon. That's been the consistent message. I understand the pain and suffering, but there's no other way. Trust me, those are the consistent messages that we've gotten from the president. Does anything show really that maybe we are just impatient? Really, there might be light at the end of the tunnel, as Mr. President keeps telling us.
So it's a very difficult question, extremely difficult. You know,
that's a consistent message from the president. He's not changed his message.
So the fact that the message is consistent would not make the people deny their reality. Okay? And don't forget that this is not the first president to promise these people, to promise Nigerians that he's doing all his best. And that
everyone that has come has said,
everyone that has come, you know, is the same method of operation. You demonize the government that was before you and said that they're almost destruction. That has been the language. And then you give people fresh hope, right? Something to look up to. And at the end of the day, you leave them with the short end of the stick. We've been saying that.
But the president seems to be saying that, look, it's a different scenario altogether. It's a different thing. What we've been doing in the past has led us into this trouble. We are moving away from it. So it's going to be painful. The ride is going to be painful. The journey will be painful. Their own message and the reality of the people does not align. That's just the reality. But how can the president and his team win the heart of the people, the trust of the people? Because that's the issue here.
Can the president put a time to when things will start improving?
So what are the things that the president can do to win the trust of the people?
Well, it's going to be difficult. It's difficult because if the people have been so disappointed in the past. Now, this president was elected to a term of 4 years.
4 years, yes.
By May this year, he would have done 2 years. And as you know, the third year politics starts. So can the president tell Nigerians that I'm cocksure about the reforms that I'm carrying out? Oh, it's when I am 2 years, 1 month in power, things will change. Can he put a date?
The timeline.
The timeline to when he believes that the reforms will begin to work positively for the people.
Apart from timeline, tangibles too by Sᴏᴜ. Because again, one of the issues people have had with this press, more like a vague, open-ended, they say clear promise. And so in the mind of the man that was buying fuel at 195 naira per liter, that the president was telling 200, 500, he would have said, okay, so maybe the president is even going to take it to 150. Because again, if we are to interpret that clearly, we are buying at 195. They have started their mago, and they are already saying that it will get to 200, it will get to 500. Don't worry, I will bring it down. Only for those people to wake up and start to buy at over 1,000 naira per liter. And now they are doing 950, 925, it's still close to 1,000. So, but the way the president talks now, does it show that, look, people can begin to trust him when he begins to say something tangible? And
blame for the president. His promises and his performance have not lined up. Don't forget that this was the president who said, let the poor breathe.
Yeah, he said it. Let the poor breathe.
He gave them so much hope. He said, I'm your champion. I am coming to lower your burden. I'm coming to help you.
To help you.
That's what he told the people. And a lot of people believed him, and expected so much from him. In fact, I used to say that this was one president, apart from Buhari, who had the highest approval rating even before he got into the office. A lot of people believed in him.
Expectations were so high.
Expectations were so high from his supporters that, look, as soon as this man gets into the office, life will become very easy for us to live. And what they are getting is the opposite. And so when the same president keeps saying, to keep speaking to the people to say, look, I promise, and the performance are not lining up.
It was not aligned.
So it's difficult for people to believe. However, there are those who still believe in him, that he'll be able to turn things around. And I think if he does so, but the better for all of us. Like we have stayed in this studio, his success is our success.
Yes.
His failure is our failure. So we are rooting for him, that he
should be able to turn things around.
To turn things around positively for everybody.
All right, we are rooting for Mr. President to be able to turn things around. But if I am able to analyze Barrister Curtis's analysis of Bayo Onanuga's response to Mr. Peter Obi, their promises before coming to power, it's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. I can see a lot of messages dropping on our Facebook and YouTube platform. You can also start to drop your messages on our YouTube and Facebook platform at Mainland 98.3 FM. Of course, we are going to open the phone lines at exactly 7:30 p.m. But let's go to the second issue. Barrister Curtis Ariba. Edo State is already telling us a lot about this local government autonomy. The governors are not going to back down. Of course, we know that before the governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, became governor, the local government elections had been held by Governor Obaseki. And of course, all the 18 local governments, and I think how many councillorship positions, were all won by the PDP as expected. We all know how local government elections are conducted. Now we have a situation where just about some few weeks ago, all the 18 local government chairmen were suspended by the State House of Assembly on the instruction of the governor, who had said that, look, he had written to them to submit their books for questioning, their finances for questioning, and so he saw them refusing to do that as insubordination, and on that premise, they were all suspended. The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, had questioned that decision and had said that, look, that was indeed against the principles of the judgment of the Supreme Court on local government autonomy. But what we are now seeing, the development we're seeing, is like, look, yeah, okay, if you say we can't suspend them, we know what to do. And it's getting more interesting. Now, what two who have defected officially to the APC, and there are more councillors now, I think a number of politicians, the local government autonomy conversation, and
constitutions in the world, other parts of the world, is that where these gaps do exist, honor the morality of the people who prefers that the society becomes better and their personal interests will kick in. So the apex court in the country, the Supreme Court, gave a decision clearly stating that local governments have their autonomy. Now, but do you know that until that judgment and up until now, local government is the piggy bank of governors. It is also the determinant of whether a governor is re-elected or not elected. Re-elected.
So they are political considerations.
They occupy the grassroots. In fact, I know of situation where governors will say to local government chairmen, if any one of you fails to deliver your council. These local government chairmen were put in place by the former administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki.
Yes.
And all of them are PDP, in the sense that any party in power wins all the local government chairmen and councillors in a state. We had one exception. I think it was in Kaduna under
El-Rufai, yes.
Other than that, in every state where there is a PDP governor, all the local government elections are won by the PDP. Where you have APC is won by APC. Where you go to, except in River State, except in River State, where the governor not having control of the PDP had to use APP.
Yeah.
Even at that, they also won all the elections.
In Edo State, 18 local government chairmen, all PDP, and then 192 elected councillors, all PDP.
So what has happened, and what we are saying clearly, is that the current governor knows that without him being in charge of the local governments, that his position is not safe. Number two, he's also looking for...
His position is not safe. Don't you think his performance should save him?
No, they don't think that way. Then they are not out clearly to perform. Number two, they also see it as avenues to create jobs for their supporters. So why would the supporters of the former governor...
Okay, all those local governments.
All those local governments, when my own supporters are on ground.
And my own people.
And I have to put them there. And then the third thing is the control of the resources of the local government. Because what they have done, and this is going on currently in most states, is that yes, funds are being transferred directly to local government, but the local government chairmen have ways of funneling back the funds to the governors. Okay? That for you. But what is intriguing and worrisome at the same time about the Edo situation is that the governor is an APC governor. Why is the president not able to rein him in?
Well, the Attorney General has spoken.
But then it's not enough for the Attorney General to speak, because this president must place the interest of the country above that of his party and self. Now, you could argue that, okay, the governor is not his servant. All right? That the governor was elected by the people of Edo State, just like he was elected. But he is the leader of his party, and the governor was elected on the platform of the party. And his party is championing autonomy for local government. So if a member of the party
is now going against that,
against the grain, against what the party is doing, even the party itself should be able to call the governor to order. The party chairman should be able to visit the door and say, Mr. Governor, why are you doing what you are doing? This is our own baby. We promoted this idea of autonomy for local government. The Supreme, and that's why sometimes, yes.
All right, because some governors had come to Lagos to celebrate with the president. And one of the issues he addressed is this issue of local government autonomy. Especially this idea of putting funds directly in the hands of the local government, and why he's committed to doing that. Majorly because of grassroots development. Now, there have been a lot of political conversations around it. There are people who think that, look, there are political intentions to it than even the issue of nation building. We are going to talk about those issues this evening by Sako. But let's listen to the president when he was addressing some of the governors who had come to Lagos to celebrate with him, especially when it comes to his commitment to the issue of local government autonomy. Let's just quickly listen to the president. We'll be right back.
There was some gossip that maybe we had a disagreement or quarrel and everything when it was local government's autonomy. No, just drive the development down there to the local government authorities. Nobody wants to take the control away from you. But collaboration, let's do it together and make sure Nigeria is better off from it. And I assure you, I'm open. I will continue to be open. I have no choice because I asked for this job. And you supported me for the mandate. And I want to win more. And through it, we will drive the changes necessary and bring about that prosperity for this country.
All right, that was the voice of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu addressing some of the governors who had come to celebrate the festive period with him, clearly put, I want collaboration. He said something, I'm not taking the local government away from you. I just want collaboration. Don't worry, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. And that's him addressing the governors. The first question by Sekoti, before we talk about what some politicians are saying about the possible intention of the president on this local government autonomy. Why do you think the president is telling the governors, I don't want to take the local governments away from you?
Because he heard, I think he got feelers back from some of the governors that the intention of his administration is to deal with the local government chairman directly from Abuja. Transfer their funds to them directly, deal with them directly.
I want to win more, but I'm not taking the local government away from you.
But I want to win more, you know. So
there are political considerations too.
Yes. So, and this is what the governors are afraid of. Like I said to you. Now, if we
do the same thing,
trying to give the local government chairman autonomy and the state house of assembly, of course, and you know that even in the, you know, so these are two key men directly, then we've lost control of our grassroots political basis. And so that's why Mr. President is reassuring them so that all the same, it's not taking them away from.
And you think the governors will believe it?
Maybe some governors who are close to him will believe him, but not all the governors.
But let's look at this. Politically speaking now, we're doing clear political permutations now. Clear political permutations. 774 local governments getting their funds directly. The president says, look, he wants something that can drive development at the grassroots. Collaboration. That's what he's saying. Now, for some of the governors, which even the president has now addressed, they think that, look, basically, instead of working with 36 governors, I would ideally work with 774. But because I've also seen some of the supporters of the president who have said that, look, it will get to a point when these local government chairmen start to get their funds, they will start to now fight their governors. Because as it is, maybe from this month, the Minister of Finance has said that, look, up till now, direct transfer of funds to local government has not started. They are still working it out. But I think all of that have been resolved. But there are people who are predicting that, look, it will get to a point, if indeed this is worked out, whether you were supported by him to see some of the local government chairmen fighting their governors, would that automatically translate to proper governance at the local government level, or we're just going to have more political crises in the different states?
It's not going to translate automatically to progress or development or better. What we are going to see, in fact, I will rather wish that we could do more for reforms in conducting the local government elections so that different political parties can emerge in states. Because if they do, what you are going to find is that local government chairman elected on different party platforms will not easily surrender their funds to the governor. But what the governors will do is what Okpebholo is doing in Edo State, which is to go and rely on Section 8 of the Constitution, that the State House of Assembly shall make laws. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
For the governance and administration of the local government. And they have assumed wider powers under that section to say they have the power to suspend. You do understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
So, we are going to heighten their governors.
Yeah, but we saw what happened, for example, in Ogun State.
In Ogun State.
But now, I think they are more emboldened by the Supreme Court judgment.
Yes.
Because again, one, you can't have caretaker chairmen. You can't just remove them anyhow. And you may decide not to, send the money back to the governor.
But let me tell you what they would do.
Yes.
You know, the Supreme Court said you cannot have an interim. Now, but what has happened now in Edo State, there's an interim. Because once the substantive chairman is impeached,
yes,
then they ask that the vice chairman acts in his place in the interim. Do you get the point?
I'm with you, yes.
So there are several ways that they go around these issues, because you see, when people are charged up, when they want to breach the system that brought them to power, there are no guardrails to prevent.
They always find a way.
They always find a way, and that's why we talked about people acting more in national interest than in their selfish interest. Most of the conflicts that we have in our politics will disappear if we begin to place national interest above selfish personal interests. oh, you help somebody to become a governor, not necessarily to serve you as a person, society, and make the society better for you.
That's if that was the intention of helping in the first place.
But we see that, the contrary is the situation in the country here, where you help somebody to be governor, you want him to be your lapdog, to do whatever you want, surrender the state treasury to you. And the political class that are experts in making decisions of the court to be void. They know how to go around it. But I say that the president's party has got the highest number of governors, and all he needed to do was just to look for one or two
maybe 3 or 4 more to join him, and this will be
and it gets
over and done with. But do you think he can get all his governors to toe this line?
I think
if a Monday Okpebolo, who is from the APC, is fighting
it's because the
agenda.
The president has not spoken to him.
Oh, he should speak to him.
He should speak to him.
And do you think they will listen?
Or get the party. Look, don't forget that the APC as a party,
yes,
wrote to the president of the Senate to remove Senator
Ndume, yes,
from being the chief whip.
Yes,
Senate chief whip.
The chief whip.
That's a party intervening in where they feel that a member of the party is erring against the party.
Yes.
So you expect Umar Ganduje to also go and speak to the governor of Edo State.
There's an issue now that the party has not been able to resolve, despite it being the agenda of Mr. President. And it is about the party being able to get all the governors and their political leaders, to toe the part of the agenda of the president on all issues. Why do we have a problem, for example, with the tax reforms bill, especially majorly being opposed by governors of the APC?
Well, governors of APC are also elected by people from their different states.
So,
but you see, and this is where I think there's a major failure on the part of the president or his presidency and the party. Or
even the party leaders, yes.
I think that the president has got to make those who are members of his party from the northern part of the country comfortable with the proposed bill. And then they can go back and become agents of Mr. President
on this particular issue.
Now, the way and manner this is being packaged is, and you heard that from Mr. President himself, there's no going back on this bill. And you don't tell someone who is afraid not to fear, especially when he sees the danger
coming.
You understand? And I was talking to one guy, and he said to me, what they are telling the whole world is that this is going to work much better for us in the north, right? And then he gave me an example of where they say the current system for distributing VAT ensures that Lagos gets 80-something% and Kano gets I think 0.69.
Yes.
But that by their own proposal, Kano is going to go up and Lagos will drop. And
but from what?
And he said to me, on what basis will Lagos want to lose their advantage?
Are we that magnanimous? Yes.
And give us more money.
More money. That's a Kano man telling you that,
yes,
that they are suspicious of
that the devil is in the details. And they are not willing to explain the details. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
And then there is also the other, which is the somersault. That the man who is anchoring this tax reform bill, Mr. Taiwo, I think
Oyedele,
put out a tweet
some years back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was during
Buhari's time. Yes.
That you cannot increase VAT
at this time.
You cannot increase taxes. You cannot even do.
When people are poor.
When people are poor.
He's the same man.
And now people are poorer.
So the same man is put in charge of the reforms.
And now you say that this is the best time to do it.
Increase taxes when people are even poorer. All right. So, well, but Mr. Curtis, it's been an interesting ride. Still political roundtable, mainland 98.3 FM. I think we're moving with time, and I like the pace at which we are moving on the show this evening. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. You can also listen to the show via the Radio Garden platform. By 7:30, we'll definitely open the phone lines for you to be a part of the show. We're going to Rivers State, the state of unending political crisis, of more like a bombshell to him, really, from one of the most revered political leaders of that state, Mr. Peter Odili, Fourth Republic first-time governor from 1999 to 2007, who himself is almost like the political leader of most of the governors that have come after him, where he had said that, look, let's give kudos to Governor Fubara. He's been able to fight his way to stabilize the state and take the state from one man who was intended on turning it to his personal estate. And of course, the salvo came. It didn't land before Minister Nyesom Wike, as expected, gave a reply to that, saying that, look, this is a man who is just a rent seeker. When I was there, he praised me to the high heavens. I did this, I did that. He has my pictures in his house, even to his toilet, and all manner of things. He actually said a whole lot. But it's not backing down. He's still making statements by Mr. Curtis Adiba. And one of the things he has said is that, look, the people that are pushing Fubara now, the people that are supporting him now, and Mr. Peter Odili inclusive, and first and foremost, making him to disobey, because again, for sake of context, making him to disobey Mr. President, who had intervened as early as December 2023, sorry, when this crisis started, by coming up with an agreement that they all signed to. That even some of the leaders who are now with Fubara were at that meeting, and they urged Fubara to sign that peace agreement. So why are they now with him to disrespect Mr. President, who in his wisdom, political wisdom, had intervened in that manner? And of course, he went on to say that, look, Fubara is not just that the people supported him. I single-handedly, in fact, some of the things he said was that, look, he was not interested in becoming a governor. He didn't buy form. I bought the form. I called him and said, look, you are going to be a governor. And said, look, what he's getting is a show of disloyalty, and it's really unexpected. Now, to refresh our minds, Mr. Curtis, I have a soundbite here, and I think I've also seen it on your page, where Minister Nyesom Wike, when he was still the governor of Rivers State, what he said about never ever making Mr. Peter Odili and his family cry. What he said with his own mouth about the man he now calls a rent seeker.
He will not say anything bad.
Nothing bad.
Nothing bad about, and that day, he should not see that day.
And he said if he ever does anything to make the Odilis cry, quote unquote now, God should bring him down. That, look, these are people who sacrificed everything. They sacrificed everything, their honor, just to support people like him. We're going to listen to that. And then we'll also, to refresh the mind of our listeners, also look at the so-called peace deal that's now falling apart. Because I remember we talked about the peace deal. Some of us said that, look, if Fubara decides to implement the peace deal, he was signing his political death warrant. We'll talk again about that peace deal. But let's quickly listen to Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, when he was still the governor of Rivers State, and what he had said about Mr. Peter Odili and his family. We'll be right back.
Any day that I will make Dr. Odili and his family to cry, God, don't allow me to grow. These people suffered. Blackmail, everything, because of some people like us. Sir, I want to tell you today. Before people here, I will never be alive to make you cry, your wife. I will never do it.
I will never be alive. Is he waiting for them to cry, Mr. Curtis Adiba? They are not crying yet.
Well, I think with Wike, don't forget that Wike, he will not join APC. That's not what he said. And that, how can he have headache and you say he should go and take cancer?
But as it is, he has not joined APC.
Yeah, but he's supporting APC.
Okay, well. But he said he will never join cancer.
So, I mean, you understand? And this is the man who has said so many things in the past, and he has gone clearly against the things that he has said. One of them is just what you just played.
I will never be alive to make you cry.
Again, it's God that owns life. God is the owner of life. God will decide when everybody's time comes. But this is what I want to say. Wike should learn to be measured. The fact that Odili supported you in the past, by his own account, without Odili, his political career would have ended.
He said it in his sound,
and he would not have been whatever he is today. The story he told was clear. That 괶ᴜᴛᴜ, the chairman of the PDP then in the state, had dropped his name from being a local government chairman, and he ran to Justice Odili, Mary Odili,
yes.
And she went to her husband, and the husband asked that 괶ᴜᴜ come back, and his name was included in that list.
And that was how he became a local government chairman.
And that was how he became a local government chairman. Now, he was also picked as chief of staff to Amaechi.
Yes.
An Odili protege. You know, even though him and Odili had issues,
yeah.
But of course, I mean, it's one political family.
It's still a political family, yeah.
Now, it was Wike himself who saw the importance of Odili and went to court Odili. We know what happened. His wife was instrumental on the 2 times that Wike remained governor of Rivers State, getting favorable judgment from the Supreme Court. You remember the other man, the senator, who was giving a speech in the Senate and said, I know how I oppressed my wife.
Okay, no, that's Senator Adamu
Bukachua. How I oppressed my wife to get favorable judgment for some of our colleagues here.
So we can't forget the Rivers matters too, yeah.
Yeah, so, and even the things he's complaining about now, about Odili's daughter becoming a judge.
Yes.
Wike was instrumental.
When the doing was good.
Process. His son being commissioner, you know, everything that he did. I mean, and it's not only Odili. When 괰ᴜᴜ was supporting him, he put his picture back as governor.
And they recognized him.
I recognized him as governor and was paying him benefits.
I think he stopped all that too.
Oh, he said he was no longer. In fact, last time he said he's no longer a governor. He was an illegal governor. So, for him, your loyalty has got to be 100% to him.
And to him.
But to others, he can afford not to be loyal to anyone.
But himself,
because he has got money. And money is king in Nigeria, super king. And that's why you saw that old men, some of them with grandchildren, say they winked at each other and decided that it was time to go and apologize on behalf of Odili. Oh, no, you know, age has dealt with him. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. And so we have decided to come and apologize to you, Honorable Minister. I think they call him spiritual. There's a nickname they call him.
Yes.
Spiritual king or spiritual
leader. But I want us to move to the last issue.
Okay.
He also talked here. You know, at that turn of the year party meeting where he had, you know, Magnus Abe also said, you know, I thought I had the sound about. I'll read out what Magnus Abe said. The Senator Magnus Abe.
So everybody did anti-party.
Yeah, he said everybody did anti-party.
Just that Wike succeeded in his own.
And that why everybody talking about Wike. And then he also talked about Fubara, warning Fubara or advising him to be wary of the people working with him now. That is majorly for their political interest. And that look, when the chips are down, he's going to find that nobody's with him. That he should be wary. But that as Magnus Abe is going to say today and declare that it's with Nyesom Wike. I think those were individuals who never saw eye to eye in the past. Senator Magnus Abe and Nyesom Wike. Well, so what has brought them together now?
Self-interest, nothing more. But look, I don't think it's correct to say that these people never saw eye to eye. Don't forget that when Wike was chief of staff,
yes.
Magnus Abe was secretary to the government
yes.
under Amaechi. And when Amaechi and Wike fell apart, Magnus Abe was still with Amaechi until Amaechi refused to give him the ticket
of the party,
of the party to the governor.
Yes.
So and that's where their own crisis started. And at that point, Wike tried to harvest Magnus, and Magnus was one of the people that his government bought SUVs, Lexus SUVs for at that time. And of course, it was clear from the one that Magnus Abe, though the candidate of the SDP in the state, was working for Tinubu.
He said it, and I said I was the candidate of the SDP. So I did anti-party because even my candidate was not able to campaign in the state.
All right. So you see that there's an interest compatibility between Magnus Abe and Wike.
So now two anti-party people.
Yes, in supporting Tinubu.
Tinubu, yes.
And so it's got to justify that.
All right.
But here is the point. The point is that there's nobody that is denying that Wike had an outsized role in making Fubara governor.
Yes.
And we know why he did that. First and foremost, the EFCC had declared Fubara wanted because he had no immunity for the series of looting
in Rivers
State. And they felt that as the accountant general, he knew where all the bodies were buried.
So he kept him.
So Wike did not allow the EFCC to arrest him. In fact, it was speculated that most of the time Fubara was living in the government house. And because of Wike's immunity, they couldn't go to government house to pick him. So during the campaigns, there were very few places that Fubara went to campaign. And if you notice, the security was tight.
So it was in this week
To be called to give an account. Now, Wike also played the smart politics by working for the president and now becoming the FCT minister.
which also helps him away from any form of
and you
accountability.
can see that up to this moment, the EFCC has not called him.
for questioning.
questioning.
Despite having the case with him then.
Of course. So you see,
It's still smart politics.
Now it's still smart politics on his own side.
Yes.
Now the problem he appears to be having is that he had thought that Fubara, given his liability, his vulnerability, and his weakness,
And baggages too.
will be a rollover. And this is the constant trend that we see. Each time people bring someone to be governor, instead of allowing the process to go on and produce a candidate, if you skew the process in favor of someone that you want to control or you want to act through as governor, it really does work. Do you understand? Is that not the same crisis going on in Benue?
In Benue State, yes.
Where you now have the APC party chairman in the state, Austin Agada, now going to Autumn to try and cut the support of Autumn to join Akumena against the governor.
People that never worked together before.
Thank you. And then on the other hand is the former governor who had issues with Akume, Gabriel Suswan, now backing the current governor.
So interests, separating people really.
It's just about interest.
Not about governance.
No.
All right, let's because I want us to touch on the last issue and spend some time on it before we open the phone lines. Yes, on Wike is saying that, look, Fubara, they are making you to disrespect the president. Now, people who have said that, look, he would always bring in the president because when we talk about his strength today politically, it's just because he's a minister and because he's still in the good books of the president. And so there are people who have said that, look, it's not of a surprise, really, that every time he talks, he would want to raise sentiments about Fubara disrespecting the president by not honoring the agreement. This agreement was in December 2023. For people who don't know, that crisis is almost over a year now. And we'll just quickly touch on some of the things that was done then to refresh our memory. And these were the things that were signed at that meeting. That one, all matters instituted in the courts by the governor of Rivers State, Sir Fubara, and his team, in respect of the political crisis in Rivers State, shall be withdrawn immediately. I don't know how many cases they now have. I think it has tripled itself. The plan was withdraw cases. But I know there are now more cases than even when this agreement was signed. 2, all impeachment proceedings initiated against the governor of Rivers State by the Rivers State House of Assembly should be dropped immediately. I think that has been honored somehow from the two camps. Martin Amewele and Oche Jumbo, I think somehow there's really no impeachment threat, really. The third one, the leadership of the Rivers State House of Assembly, as led by the Right Honorable Martin Amewele, shall be recognized alongside the 27 members who resigned from the PDP. I don't think Fubara has honored that agreement. He was going to do it before something happened again. And I think as it is now, with the fact that he has presented the budget again to those 3 members, it means he has not recognized them. In fact, the latest statement is that, look, they've lost the seat, they've declared vacant, and there's no going back. I think the fourth one is the remuneration of and benefits of all members of the Rivers State House of Assembly and their staff must be reinstated immediately, and the governor of Rivers State shall henceforth not interfere with the full funding of the Rivers State House of Assembly. I don't think these 27 members are getting anything by Mr. Curtis. Do you know?
No.
So they are out of the calculation. Their monies, okay?
Because of the move that they made, that they have done their party and they are now APC members.
So if he doesn't recognize them, he can't pay them.
And for him, he believes that they have violated the provisions of the Constitution. Now that is still going through the court process, and there are those who will argue that you don't empower your enemy. But if you go to court when you have a problem, you should also be able to listen to the court when the court says this is what you should do.
So you think he should have been paying them?
I think he should be paying them
without recognizing them.
Well, he doesn't have to. It's not about. It's not because he recognized them that they were originally members of the House of Assembly.
It was just because the law matter. Yeah,
the law recognizes them.
So
I would have, if in his shoes, what I would have done is to ensure that we go through the court process and make sure that
while I'm still paying them.
Of course.
Okay. Well, all right. So the 6th part of the agreement was that the governor of Rivers State, Sir Fubara, shall represent the state budget to a properly constituted Rivers State House Assembly. That has not happened. He's still been doing it with the 3 members. And the 7th one is that the names of all commissioners in the Rivers State Executive Council who resigned the appointment because of political crisis in the state shall be submitted to the House of Assembly for approval. That has not happened.
No, that happened.
It happened. Some of them are brought back.
He took them in and then reassigned them to different portfolios and they resigned. So you will say that they complied with that.
Well, okay. Well, and then the last part of the agreement was that there should not be a caretaker committee for local governments in Rivers State. The dissolution of the local government administration is null and void and shall not be recognized. Well, I think we've moved past that. Elections have been conducted and people have now been elected into the local government.
And the courts have upheld the elections.
The elections. Now let's say this, Barrister. The meeting called by the president then was attended by the governor, his predecessor Wike, and other political leaders in the state. Apart from Fubara, the people that attended were the chairperson in Rivers State, Ēron and the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Martin Amaewhule. That resolution was also signed by the Deputy Governor, Ngozi Odu. People don't even know that there's a Deputy Governor in the state.
Well, the crisis and conflicts are too many.
For her to even bring her head out. And the factional speaker, Martin Chike.
And I think she's with the Wike faction.
But she's still in the government, just quiet, hibernating.
She's there.
All right. The APC chairperson Rivers, and of course, Nuri Badu was there. The Vice President Kashim Shettima, and Mr. Peter Odili himself. So when Peter Odili was there, was it that he just kept quiet and later told Fubara, don't mind them? That's just a piece of paper.
We have not been told the role he played in that meeting.
But Fubara side,
was he just Odili, was he just an observer? And don't forget that even if Odili had agreed to the terms, Odili was not a party to the agreement. It was Fubara and Wike that were parties, original parties to the agreement. Now, and you can see that on both sides there have been violations
of this agreement.
Of this agreement. So it's not enough for Mr. Wike to say, oh, the governor is living in utter disobedience to Mr. President.
Because I think I remembered when Fubara said that, look, I was even ready to honor this agreement.
At a cost. In fact, he said
cost, yes.
It doesn't even matter what cost. What we wanted and what we still want is peace.
But I remember that, look, we now had a situation where the Martin Amaewhule house now started to veto him.
Yes.
Creep him, reduce his powers.
They veto him, they tried to make laws.
Just
they made all kind of laws.
And I think that was when they started fighting back.
Yeah, so look, he said, I was willing to pay any price for purpose of
but not
peace.
To lose his seat. The price that was going to be too much for him to pay.
But I mean, they came fighting at me, and I had to fight back,
clipping him practically.
Yes. You heard him, and then he had the River State people behind him saying, "You have to go ahead."
You are the governor,
because you see, like we said, not until recently did we get to know, and we suspected, but we never heard it from any one of them, the reason for this conflict in the first place. According to Mr. Wike, it's about his structure. I don't think Fubara has taken his structure. We still see the structure in operation.
So
that couldn't have been
structure without the treasury of the state.
So that couldn't have been. So
a structure without the treasury of the state.
From the Fubara camp, it's all about money. Wike wants to be in charge.
Yes.
He wants to control the treasury of the state.
Yes.
And Fubara wants to work for the people. That's always the framing of this issue. But we also know that the truth lies in the middle. It's disagreement over sharing. Who gets what? And it's not about Wike alone. Fubara also is going to get some. And that is not strange. Wike as governor got some, if not all. And then he gave out what he wanted to give anybody. Nobody could challenge him.
All right.
You know?
All right, it's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We have Barrister Curtis Adigba here. I think we've been able to deal extensively with the Rivers matter. I'm sure that more issues will come up. It's a Rivers of political crisis. It's just what it is, really. The political gladiators in Rivers State would never back down. We're going to this very, very interesting issue, Barrister Curtis Adigba. You know, Port Harcourt Refinery started working. Just some days ago, Malik Kyari surprised many Nigerians. It was not even announced, just came on TV, the media took it and said, look, the Warri Refinery has also started working. Maybe 60% capacity. Yeah, but at least work has started. It started to produce diesel, kerosene, and other naphtha, and that look, petrol was going to start from that refinery. And look, people said that, look, whether you like it or not, from the Buhari regime to this current administration, we have to give kudos to them. Government after government from 1999 till date have not been able to do this. One of them has to be Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who had a different idea of what to do. But for 8 years, he wasn't able to do it. He made some effort at the twilight of his administration, and that was reversed by his predecessor, by his successor, the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. But just as the NNPCL was announcing operations at the Warri Refinery, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo granted an interview, and he kept on talking about the doubts about running those refineries again. And he also talked about, how he had gotten a consortium led by Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Femi Falana SAN said that, look, we know what happened. There was the issue of vested interest. There was the issue of corruption. A lot was said about how the whole thing was done. The price for it was given away. The issue of the consortium itself, which had the interest of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who had shares in Transcorp, which was part of the consortium that was to take over the refineries. And that, look, it was just hypocritical for the president at this time to be raising the issue where there were clear cases of vested interest from the former president. And of course, we've also seen a back and forth between these. Now, it has to be Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. And there are people who have always questioned his moral standing to be able to question some of the things he had the opportunity to fix without fixing them. And some of the things he had every opportunity to do, but bungled because of selfish interest and vested interest. One of them, Femi Falana is saying, is the way he handled the so-called privatization and sale of the floor open to Barrister Curtis to really delve on the issue. The first one, Mr. Barrister Curtis Adigba, is Segun Showunmi, a PDP stalwart, in Ogun State, talking about Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. And the reason why he likes talking about everybody but himself, how he sees himself as being the best from every other person that have ruled the country. How he had the opportunity to rule the country, but bungled the opportunity to become the Lee of Nigeria. He also talked about how he has messed up the political trajectory. Before he came in 1999, he talked about political leaders now being more superior than the party. Started with Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. We're going to listen to him. And then there's this Mehdi Hasan, this Mehdi Hasan interview with Obieze Kwesili on corruption during the Obasanjo era. Those are two sound bites we'll quickly listen to, and then we'll come back to dissect the issues. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We'll be right back.
To God be the glory. Olusegun Aremu Okikiola Obasanjo is like my dad. We have the tribal marks. We're from the same place. I adore him. But I marvel at how he can be so hypocritical. Had we been a nation of consequence, he wouldn't dare say that. Because a nation of consequence would have used a very fine comb to comb through his tenure. Never mind all the hype we give ourselves after we've left office. And then said, sir, on this you dropped the ball. On this you dropped the ball. There was allegation of corruption here. There was allegation of corruption here. There was allegation of corruption here. Do you mind being less sanctimonious? That's what I would have said. But because, after the act, so when you have been that way, you want to plead that every former president and every former head of state cannot be that way. It makes the job of the incumbent hard. You can't be the one that shames every president after you. You had it. You wrote a letter to Yar'Adua, basically shaming him. You wrote a letter to Jonathan, calling him out. You wrote a letter to Buhari, calling him out. You have started now with Bola. The question that will be asked is that, sir, is it realistic to say that since this democracy started with you as president, that some of the things that we even see as fault in this democracy are the habits they learned from you? I can give you a few. Before we had 1999, it was inconceivable for a political party to suddenly be smaller than the government it battered. The 1999 experience that we had with Shagari, it was not unusual for the party chairmen to be bigger than their governors and to be bigger than the president, symbolically. The parties did not become so weak to the extent that one clown will be manipulating them from behind and everybody there will just be rolling over and not unable to speak. That kind of nonsense crept into our democracy because Olusegun Obasanjo, the man who's writing all of these letters, was the one who desired to have all the emperorship status vested in him, including the ability to remove chairman of party just by going to eat pandemia in the house in a very insulting and annoying manner. So when people now copy that totalitarian power supreme, president is the leader of the party, governor is actually warm, be roaming on his back, begging party leaders for tickets. You kneel down, you beg us, you bribe us, you do everything. We'll give you a ticket, you go and become governor, and then 3 weeks after we made you governor, you are now our leader. How does that even make sense? Obasanjo cost it. So he's my father. I don't like to engage him, but I will just say, in the twilight of your years, sir, every conversation you want to speak to on the improvement of the country, always remember that you had more than a fair chance of changing things. If you had been the Lee Kuan Yew of Nigeria, Nigeria would be this way. And you had more than enough opportunity. The wisdom of the old is to talk less. The words of elders are very weighty, so they should talk less. It's the same with him and Bodejo too. There's a class of men, because they are former military officers, and you just say, what are you people talking about now? There's Babangida in this country. How many times do you see him doing yapa? There's Yakubu, who was even his boss in the country. How many times do you say, yeah, that doesn't mean they're not smart. But I'm saying that if you have been president here, and we're complaining that this country has not met the wishes and aspirations of its citizens, and of the people we can take on board as being responsible, you are one of them. Can you please don't anger us so much? Why do you think Assad ran away from Syria? You think he would have sat in the place and they would have caught him and they wouldn't throw him in the dustbin? Look, the point I'm making, because you are the one bringing us today, the point I'm making is that Obasanjo cannot repair the country with the consciousness with which he destroyed it. The consciousness with which all of these people that have been ruling our country have used to destroy the country, they can dare not come and tell us that it is that same consciousness they're going to use to repent. They need to go.
Why is corruption, in your view, so rampant in Nigeria, so systemic in Nigeria today? The Anti-Corruption Monitor, Transparency International, which you helped found, it ranks Nigeria as the 38th most corrupt country on earth. That's a disgraceful position to hold, isn't it?
The major cause is the failure of the institutions of the state to function as effectively as they ought to, because of the system of governance that we had.
But the government of President Obasanjo, which you were part of for several years, that was pretty corrupt too, wasn't it? And some would say it was even more corrupt than the military dictatorship of Sani Abacha that came before it. It was as corrupt, at least, as the current government that's been accused of corruption. That was a government you were part of.
I really like empirical evidence. And right now, you don't have any. You just simply assume.
If you look at the Transparency International rankings, they were pretty bad under Obasanjo.
Well, actually,
they didn't really rise radically. They rose and fell.
Well, you're wrong there.
But you reject the idea that the Obasanjo government was as corrupt, or not, if not more corrupt, than governments that came before.
There was no way it could have been more corrupt than the government of Abacha. Okay. I'm sorry.
Can I ask you? Let's just. Okay. Well,
let's just agree that you did not even make that statement.
I'm not going to agree. I'll tell you why I don't agree. I don't have empirical evidence, but let's do some eyewitness evidence. Thanks to WikiLeaks, we know that Nuhu Ribadu, the man appointed by former President Obasanjo to head his Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, he told the US ambassador in 2007 that, quote, even more than the Abacha days, where Abacha was the sole thief, corruption under Obasanjo's 8 years was far worse, because everyone stole. No doubt Obasanjo did as well. He added, Oba was a political machine. He just knew how to play the game for the international community and cover his tracks.
The next person you should invite to your show would be Nuhu Ribadu.
You reject his view?
No, it's not about rejecting his view. I don't have counterfactual evidence on the basis of which to reject it.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. What's your response to the corruption chief appointed by President Obasanjo, who says the president who appointed me is more corrupt than the military guy before him? What's your response to that?
My response to that would be, why did...
Well, interesting sound bites from Segun Shomi to that Mehdi Hasan, obvious Ekwesili interview. I just had to bring those things again because for every time Chief Olusegun Obasanjo writes a letter, speaks to the media about governance, there's always the question around what he had the opportunity to do and whether he really has a moral standing to question some of those things. But you've listened to the soundbite, but so the floor is yours.
You recall that in 2019, I wrote President Obasanjo a letter.
Yes, I remember.
A letter that went viral.
Refresh our minds, yeah.
And that letter was in response to letters that he had written to Buhari. I couldn't take it anymore. And I know in that letter I said, President Obasanjo is a wave rider. He watches the wave and he glides on it. In other words, once there's an issue on ground, an issue on ground that has traction, that is generating a lot of interest.
He goes into
it. He takes a dive, and then he goes, and then he owns the narrative. He dominates everything. I also say the fact that this is a man who wants to be the bride in every wedding and the corpse in every funeral. In other words, it's an attention addict. He wants to draw. He just cannot. He just wants to dominate
the conversation.
Every conversation. And there are those who have argued that you should leave the issue. No, you should leave the person and focus on the issues that he is raising. And I've also argued, my counter argument is that the only reason why we think that he's important is because of who he has been.
Former president.
In the country. Don't forget that between 1976 and 1979, he was a military head of state. That's 3 years. And then he had 8 years to govern this country. That's 11. Anybody with serious purpose in mind in 11 years, though they are not consecutive terms.
Yes.
But even for 8 years, he would have been able to set this country on a trajectory that it would have been difficult for anybody to reverse. And that meant that he also had to get somebody after his tenure who will continue with the policies that he had enunciated
so putting
and established.
Putting the structure in place.
And that's where consolidation comes from. But you saw what he did. He used Nuhu Ribadu to harass certain people out of place, people who had the ambition. He took over the party. He sacked chairman of the party. Anytime he wanted. I mean, you all heard about the case of what happened in Anambra State. How the party chairman, then Audogbe, said, Mr. President, what you did here was wrong. And he went to his house a few days after, asked for pounded yam. After he ate the pounded yam, then he brought the Biro and later asked him to sign
his resignation letter.
Yes. You saw what happened in the National Assembly. How members of the National Assembly were bribed to extend the tenure of the president, to remove term limits.
So you think ᴏᴜᴜ is right?
So, of course.
These modern day politicians learned from him.
Is absolutely right. But that is not a justification.
All right.
For those who came after him to continue on that path.
So 2 runs cannot make it right.
Why do we have to vote periodically? Why do they have to come and say a different thing to us? If all their intention was to continue with what Obasanjo did,
why are we now voting for them?
So that's not justification.
Especially the change we voted for in 2015.
And there is a justification for what Obasanjo is doing. Because if you thought Obasanjo was so bad, he's gone, he's done, he's and gone.
8 years, yes.
Now you should be doing better than him and not giving him the opportunity to look back and seek self-justification as that he did better than you now.
So today's performance would have kept him quiet.
But unfortunately, like we say in Benue, it is a yam that is not properly done that makes the mouth to make noise. So if those who came after Obasanjo had done better than him,
he wouldn't have any reason to say anything.
Exactly. So to that extent,
so he's failure fighting failure now.
And don't forget that above everything else,
oh my goodness,
Obasanjo is a citizen of Nigeria.
Okay, so he has the right to talk.
He has the right to talk. He has the right to vent.
But morality,
look, morality is a different issue.
All right.
Look, does he have a moral standing to condemn some of? But let me tell you something that will shock you.
All right.
With all the liabilities and baggages, point to one that has done better than him.
So they keep giving him that opportunity.
So they are the one providing him the opportunity. Now, on the issue of corruption, I'm surprised that WG=Ezekwesili is making this argument about corruption.
Empirical evidence.
He's seeking for empirical evidence. What is the evidence that she has that made her to conclude that subsequent governments after Obasanjo were corrupt? She has not.
But the one she served in, they needed a very empirical evidence.
Empirical evidence.
but so yes, I'm with you.
And then talking about the refineries, I think that someone asked me, why is it that all of a sudden
The refineries are working.
the refineries are working? I said it's very simple. Number one, subsidy at least is gone. So it's no longer attractive to import like it used to be.
Because it was easy to pad and
Exactly.
make up figures. Yeah.
To bring the ship,
Make it turn out,
them on the
and
sea,
then
all
collect
that.
money
So
for
that's
doing
one
nothing.
side. The second side is that Mr. President, who is the Minister of Petroleum, has made it clear to them that their tenure is not guaranteed if these things don't work. Because don't forget that before these miracles or magic started overnight, there was a statement by the NNPCL that says whether Mr. Mele Kyari will stay or not depends on Mr. President in January. And then suddenly,
So this is how to happen.
this thing started happening. To the point that Obasanjo, who understand the workings of these refineries, because he built some of them, and who knows, look, first and foremost, who are the contractors handling these jobs? Where did they come from now, and what have they done?
So what has happened? What has happened differently?
There is opaqueness surrounding this thing, and this opaqueness, has been displaced by the euphoria around the whole fact that these things are working. Oh, they say this is 60%. Now, yes, I agree that Obasanjo actually put a consortium together of Dangote and Femi Otedola, and they bought 2 refineries. Yar'Adua came and cancelled that transaction based on the evidence that was presented before him.
For him, yes.
And a lot of Nigerians agreed with him. You know why? Because this was the same man who came to power through an election that he condemned.
And said it will never happen again.
Yes.
Watch, yeah.
He said, look, I'm prepared to abide by the verdict of the Supreme Court, but I think this election was deeply flawed.
So Nigerians are going to trust
Nigerians
such a honorable man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when Obasanjo makes some of this comment, I think that you should listen to what Sɣ쏘ᴇ has said. He's an elder statesman. He shouldn't be speaking to every issue that flies around. You should be careful and be measured. Nuhu Ribadu, again, I say this to people. Everyone that Nuhu Ribadu has accused of corruption is turned round
To say something different. Or even keep
to
quiet on
praise
the
them
past
and
issues.
to make them his bosses or friends. Nuhu Ribadu stood in the holy chambers of the National Assembly, the Senate, and named the current president alongside 4 others as the most corrupt governors in Nigeria.
He's working for the same man now.
That same man made him the presidential candidate of ACN
At that time, and everything ended.
and paired him with Fola Adiola,
Yes.
and they lost. I think the only state they won in the southwest was Osun State.
WဃΣոᴛsAᴘᴘ insisted that, look.
Thank you. And now he works for the same president. He's the one who said nobody dares this man.
And loses. He
And-
doesn't lose. He's also winning.
Yes.
He's always winning.
Yes. So you see, now the same Obasanjo that appointed him, that gave him a free hand to do everything.
He's talking against him.
You saw what you heard what he said about Obasanjo? So let all of the we know that and I'm not playing Dele Farotimi here because I don't have direct evidence. But on suspicion, we know that all of them are corrupt. Let them stop,
Deceiving us.
and deceiving themselves. We know them.
All right. Well, we're going to open the phone lines now. 09136 0000410. 09136 0000410. You can also drop your contributions on our Facebook platform and YouTube platform. We'll definitely pick it up. We're going to be strict with time this evening. Just 1 minute. You can speak to any of the issues we've highlighted so far on the show. 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening.
I'm number one.
Yes.
I greet all of you, the 2 gentlemen, the wise man in the studio.
Yes, good evening, Prince Wise. 1 minute. We are going to be strict with time.
1 minute, okay, you. Yeah, number one. Obi have every right to criticize present government. Yes. And the only have every right to reply because don't do this. MPN, UPN, where UPN talk, MPN will counter, and that's how it's supposed to be. That is politics. When somebody who's supposed to fight for this democracy, these people suffer or not look at suffer. When in power now, you don't want nobody to rubbish him. So the man is doing his work. That's number one. Number two, for Baba Obasanjo, Papa Obasanjo, if I were him, I will tell myself, I don't want to speak. When you fail in a subject, and somebody come around to quarter that somebody, why are you talking? Papa, please do, please and please. He will respect him. But when you talk of all the when he was in power, Baba, I can only say Baba, you give for GSF. After this, infrastructure. You say somebody will come after him, they not perform. What have done for us? Nothing. Finally, so to talk because yes.
All right. Okay. I'll assume that 1 minute. Thank you so much, Prince Wise.
I was speaking.
Hello.
Happy New Year, what?
Oh, Madam Ife. Happy New Year.
How is it?
Fine.
What is Happy New Year?
It's good to you.
Fubara. All the ministers' name, according to what we read in 2023.
The commissioners.
He said, commissioner.
Yes.
That Fubara brought only one person. Was it not the person that brought Odili's daughter? To become commissioner for health?
Of course, yes.
Yes. He was the one that gave everybody a title. Now he's not using it to be saying secondary. He wants to be clashing people's heads together. You cannot clash. Everybody knows you. You are the one that brought these people. So Odili's daughter is seen in the government because the father refused to support you. That's the reason why he's there. He cannot come here and be bamboozling people now, be calling names here and there. I want to talk for that thing that you read that they said they went to sign in Abuja in 2023. When President Tinubu was governor, can he sign such thing?
Never.
I'm sure we
don't even go to such a meeting.
When he line, we can run those things. I'm glad to praise the president. I help me kill them. You think we are fools? And when they got home, they now look at it and say, this thing will not go grill.
Okay.
And they fight.
All right. Thank you.
I want them to continue fighting so that Fubara will work for the last people.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, madam. Hello, good evening.
Yeah. That's what. Good evening.
Good evening again, Joshua.
Barrister, I salute you.
Thank you.
Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm back to Lagos.
Okay,
I'm back to
welcome.
Lagos. I just came in this afternoon.
All right.
Yeah, the way the barrister used to analyze the Wike issue, it's almost as if in his dictionary there's no nothing like political entrepreneurship or political godfatherism.
I don't believe in it.
He said he doesn't believe in political entrepreneurship. What do you mean by political entrepreneurship?
Politics as investment.
Political investment.
To reap what? To get what?
I don't believe
on
in
your
it.
investment.
Yeah, of course, a return. A return.
What kind of return?
In the form of compensation. Okay, they can
money.
Say, give us. Yeah, we will support you. But, okay, the only thing we can do for you is you will give us 4 commissioners.
So what would the 4 commissioners be doing to the person that invested?
It's a lot. Don't let us expose it.
And so should we encourage things like that?
Of course, you can encourage it. It's not totally, but as far as they are doing their work.
I will make a commissioner tomorrow and you'll be giving me all the salaries.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I now understand you.
Yes,
I understand you now.
Allow Wike to survive. In fact, I feel so much for Wike, and I don't want him to fall into all this trash.
You think his investment has gone bad?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
He himself said the investment went bad.
This guy, see, Wike bought for all of them.
Who begged him to do it?
Political investment.
But you know that's also a crime in our law.
It's not a crime. It's not a crime. You are supporting people to grow. Yeah.
So that they will not give you commissioners and people who will not be giving you returns.
I did not say that.
That's what you've been saying.
No,
Joshua, don't worry. I will make you commissioner if you give me the salary. Don't worry. Let's end it there.
All right. Thank you, Joshua. Political entrepreneurship. That's new to me.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, Samuel calling from Ojobi.
All right, Mr. Samuel, go ahead.
Yeah, Ogapua, you know my stand on the weekday issue and the Refinery. You see, I have said it and I will keep on saying it. It is the president that makes UK relevant today in our policy. The local government autonomy that we are saying. Ogapua, you have said it before. Thing is going to work. As far as they didn't amend the law, you remember what the former president did?
where he signed the executive order. Where did the executive order go? He didn't go anywhere. The governor gathered themselves and went to court. At the end of the day, yes, at the end of the day, what was the result? Nothing. So if we are serious as a country that we want this thing to work, the Senate and the House of Reps, they should amend the law to give power to the local government. If not, we are moving nowhere. Thank you.
All right, thank you. 09136000410. After this call, we'll read messages we have on Facebook. Hello, good evening.
Hello, sir, Mr. Fuad.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, and Barrister Curtis Adiba.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Happy Sunday.
Sunday, please, you have to turn down the volume of a radio set or move away from it.
I've done that. I'm very sorry about that. I've done that.
All right, please go on, sir.
Okay, I just want to contribute.
All right, 1 minute.
Okay. If you want to talk about this 괶ᴏʟʟᴡ, even all our past rulers, they are not leaders. Corruption. That's their bane of their era. Of which all of us know. So no saint among them. Even the incumbent one, all of them, they are the same thing. So we should just pray to God that He should keep the spirit of corruption in this country.
All right.
We are doing fine.
Thank you so much. All right, let's quickly deal with some of the messages we have. All right, we'll try and quickly deal with the messages we have on Facebook. Quite a lot of them have dropped already, so I don't get on the nerves of people who have been sending these messages. All right, let's start with Abdurrafiu Alabalakpe, who is saying, good evening, honorable gentlemen. Ogbeni Alabalakpe from Sabo Oniba. River State political brouhaha, despite 2027 still 2 years away, but the political game has started in Rivers. I don't see either of the two warlords bowing for each other over there. But truth be told, the way the likes of Peter Odili handled the matter was too wrong. Because as elder statesman, I'm expecting him to have called both factions to a roundtable and broker peace for River State, for the sake of River State. But the man failed to do so. But with the way it's going now, I don't think Rivers will enjoy any political peace and development in 2027. On the side of Peter Obi, I don't think he has one day mentioned or condemned the killings of innocent citizens and security officers by the unknown gunmen in the entire southeast. But he's seeing and condemning what is happening in other regions. That is not a true act of patriotism. Well, that's the much I can take from your message, Mr. Rafiu. Alabalakwe from Sabo Ijewuni, but it's too long really, and we just have to move to other messages. Okay. Atonda Kaode Samuel is responding to Alaba's message and said they won't say anything about that. In fact, Peter Obi worked at the Tinkan Island for where his wealth blossomed. I don't know the relevance of that information now to what we are saying. Shehu JC saying, good evening, Mainland FM, Oluwaseun from First Stack. They are banking on in the long run benefit, and in the long run, everybody would have been dead, according to economist John Maynard Keynes 1923. We all witnessed the transformation of Argentina's economy in the last 2 years. Nigeria has become even worse in the same time. We have better paid president and senate, but extremely poor disaster results. I don't blame them if they don't know or see what Peter Obi did in Anambra, no matter how bright or a halogen light is. Ever, Peter Obi was number 1 on security, MDG goals, education, health. He saved money as well as invested for the state. No past governor has such achievement. Tinubu was busy collecting taxes in Lagos. He's saying, good evening, Mr. Fuad and our able barrister. Happy New Year. Bayo Onanuga replied to Peter Obi is completely laughable. What has Obi said that is different from the reality on ground? Have you gone through the 2025 budget? It is just business as usual. Copy and paste of previous budget. I don't see any hope in this government. We have Abayomi Oluwayomi who is saying, good evening. Only God knows where this guy used to get this one. Okay, the most annoying statement is the lies about his political party. I don't know what you're saying. Fadari Bumi OC Moral is saying hello to us, just saluting us all the way from the 9th Brigade military barracks in Ikeja, Kantan. Why always displaying obvious hatred to Peter Obi and the Eagles? I was one of those who patronized. We have Lukman Oladipukwa greeting us from Dakar, Senegal, saying so many issues we've discussed today that caught my attention and very interesting, but let me talk about the local government autonomy. Sir, development in every part of the world is local. It must start from the grassroots because that's where most people reside. The governors will put each region to progress at their own pace we won't make any meaningful progress. And then we have Ben Stephen, who is saying, as much as I respect Falana, SAN, late Yar'Adua, we all know, cancel many of the lofty ideas of Vijay just to assert his own authority and be his own man. Just like the Nigerian syndrome of political successors, the act of Yar'Adua ex-leaders still date. I'm glad Nigerians are now remove bias and seeing the difference. Okay. Prince Wise is just saying hello to us. We have Christopher F. Young, who is saying, good evening, the wise men in the studio. God bless you guys. Amen. We are watching tax reform bill of Mr. President. We shall see the end of it. For Wike, Wike is one man who cannot say something and keep to what he's saying. If you watch very well, you will find out that Wike does not keep friends for too long. And this is his attitude. This is the attitude of Wike. He cannot keep his political career, which is the most Nigeria, my country. And we have Sulaiman Haruna Adinka, who saying, like the barrister said, when there is discord between politicians, the people gain, just like in Rivers. Why can't this replay itself between the president's team and Peter Obi on the hospital and checkup saga? Why can't the president shame Peter Obi so the people can gain to improve the health sector? More opposition. 괏ᴜᴛᴜ Ribadu is working for Tinubu government that he says told too much. I think we've said that on the show already. The world is saying barrister had made my day. Also, I'm very happy that after bringing out the lapses about the former president, he still gave him his flowers. Not a former president Obasanjo fan, but I believe that if we condemn the former president from saying the truth respect of his lapses, then no other president, both past and present, should be criticized for bad policies. And for this, I thank the barrister. Mr. Wike should remember that when you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. Our president praise singers should please remember that time. He's saying, good evening, Ogafa, my man and my amiable barrister. Just allow the poor masses breathe. Darlington from Okoko. I think we are in a bind already on this issue because we simply right and a little to the left will definitely cost us. We cannot continue to experiment with our collective existence like this. Financial autonomy is not the next big problem of our local government. How about capacity? How about corruption? How about impunity? Very soon we'll begin to see reasons why it is counterproductive to give financial autonomy to local government on Facebook. Let's see whether we have anything on YouTube. Okay, on YouTube we have Anthony Ajishegiri saying, Happy New Year, my people. Your analysis balanced, thought-provoking, and forward-looking, and we shall overcome. Nobody is bigger than this country. Nigeria will outlive all of them. Dada Adedayo is saying, with OBJ you can see difference between leaders and rulers, brilliant minds and low-grade minds, visions and visionless. 09136000410, 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Fuad.
Yes, good evening.
My brother, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lucky, really.
Okay.
See, about which was legacy. How can I just such body? He said he was talking to. What I said. And the problem I do not blame Obasanjo. When Obasanjo took over, that's why they were just managing it. Not now. If Obasanjo to enter, we know what he's going to do. That is the no blame Obasanjo. Obasanjo do. Shall we continue wrong forever? And NFPC, this of the Obasanjo, invite them to come and inspect Refinery. They should invite ICC. They should invite EFCC. Make all of them go. Not one person. Not be invite. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Look. All right. 09136000410. Hello. Good evening. Yeah.
Ogafor, please, can you remind me of any president in this country, like from the independence of Nigeria up to this time, that leads so executive, so luxury than this president? This is the only president that that live like emperor. That use about 200 billion aircraft, 1 billion car. As he's doing so, his citizens are dying on queue of starvation, Ogafor, all over the country. And somebody, Peter Obi, is telling him to amend some of his politics and work on it. And Bayo is telling Peter Obi that he's the prophet of doom. Come on. Can we be serious ones in this country? Ogafor, am I communicating?
I'm with you completely.
Look at we are not at war. Look at the burden. 35 of our children die innocently because they are looking for a cup, not a cup, a milk cup of rice to eat. elderly men dead, women become widows. They are widows not because they love their husband. They are widows because their husband can never take care of them. The children become an orphan. And this president mechanic that dismantled the engineer, he cannot copy the back. And he's telling you he's the best engineer. This is exactly.
But
this is exactly.
Don't you think he still has the time to couple the engine back?
He cannot couple it because you don't have the idea, you don't have the knowledge to couple the engine.
Okay.
And he's telling you it's the best. And I'm telling you this is over because no governance anymore. This is 2025. 2025 is the year of politics. Those who will condone that is nothing. All the promises are then are just dead on arrival. I'm telling you, but as I've said, you're a political consultant. That is nothing.
All right.
Hello, sir.
Thank you, Malam Salau. I appreciate it. Hello, good evening.
It's nothing. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night, sir.
Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Which barrister court is for me? I'm Edward calling from Sango.
Okay, we are with you.
Yes. You see, with the problem we have with it, this present government have been doing things. But in the case of Obasanjo criticizing the government, what are supposed to advise Obasanjo is to link with General Gowon and the past leaders, Abdul Salam, good luck, on a roundtable talk on issues of this particular country, thinking that Obasanjo will repair, put this country in order. Let him carry other past leaders ahead on critical issues of this particular country. Then, in the case of inspection of refinery, let Tinubu allow him to go for inspection with petrochemical engineers, with ICPC, AFPC, the journalists. So that should bring the nation to the transparency type of government of Tinubu.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. We'll take the last call for the evening and then we'll call it a day on the show. Hello, good evening.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, good evening. Last call for the evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fawad.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, this is Mr. Sunday. I'm calling from Ikeja.
All right, please go on, Mr. Sunday. 1 minute.
I want to speak directly. I don't have much to say, but I will say something briefly about ODJ.
All right.
Past administration. And unlike me, I would like to say that it's not a matter of play any voice note, any voice record. The reality is there. We should calculate, we should check during OBJ how the country was during OBJ. That number two, and number one. Number two, how much was OBJ left in exchange of naira and dollar? That is number two. Number three, how much was a bag of rice OBJ left? How much our forest esteem? How much all those things? We should check all those things when OBJ left them with this present government. By the time we calculate, we check all those things when OBJ left them with this present government. That's when we will know that OBJ was totally a failure or a failman.
All right.
So we should stop playing all this.
All right, that will be the last call for the evening, barrister. I think it's been an interesting ride. One of the most interesting part of the show is when we get this feedback, get different opinion, divergent views from our listeners, and also the Facebook messages on social media. Very engaging, really. It just goes to show that, look, there are a lot of people out there who also want to be part of the conversation on nation building. Your final take for the evening, barrister.
Again, that majority, if not all the conflicts in our politics will be gone if we promote national interests above selfish interests. All the fighting in rivers, in Benue, local government autonomy or not local government autonomy, suspension is still about selfish interests. If it's about the people, you'll see that most of these conflicts will disappear. Because there is no reason why APC and PDP cannot cohabit in the state if they have one goal and purpose. but because it has to do with individual
interest rather than, you know,
there's no reason why Odili, Fubara, and Wike cannot come together in the interest of River State, because it's not about the people.
It's about them.
These are conflict for promotion of self-interest.
All right, conflict for the promotion of self-interest, which is not really what democracy
is all about.
It's all about. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇ, for your contribution this evening. This is where we call it a day. For let's go Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's do this again next week.